Second Corinthians 10:4, for the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty through YAHAWAH to the pulling down of strongholds, casting down imaginations and every high thing that exalteth itself against the knowledge of YAHAWAH, and bringing into captivity every thought to the obedience of YAHAWAH, and having in a readiness to revenge all disobedience when your obedience is fulfilled. Shalom, Kwam Yasha'Allah, Koholoyimla, Yahawah, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Rakahakodash. Double honors to our apostles and elders, a great millstone who rule well, and that by the Spirit taught us his beautiful truth. And just want to say the water to all the H.I.M and YAHAWAH that's out here sincerely keeping the laws and statutes and commandments of Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai to the best of their ability. This is YAHAWAH, just coming at you with another quick lesson, praying that it's edifying by the Spirit. And just wanted to do a quick little pre-camp lesson on a little dream I had, or, a little vision or whatever. But, I was kind of like in a situation where I was, having this tussle with two guys. Now, in the tussle, I remember calling on the names of Yahweh Shai, for help. And, in that dream, he helped me, and because I'm ragdolling these dudes, I had like this super strength or whatever. But it came to a point of, not to say that, because it was more of them. It was just that these two that I was actually fighting with in the dream, but it was like a crew of them. And so after I got done, pretty much ragdolling these dudes, now they're all kind of chasing me, and I'm, on the run. And it was just like, the Lord just gave me wisdom that kicked in, as far as like, every fight can't be fought, as far as like physical, even though you may have the physical abilities to actually whoop on a person, or maybe two people, or maybe three. But if it's 20 or 25, then you're outnumbered, even if, it's not like a Kung Fu movie where you see damn Bruce Lee, he kicking everybody ass in the movie, or Jet Li, or some of these superhero movies where it's just like, fucking a guy can take on 40 guys, and no, that's not real life, man. That's movie, because even if you have skill to at that extent, still, if it's a crew of people, 25 to 30 people on you, then they can eventually wear you down, so to speak, Okay, but anyway, that's pretty much what happened. But the Lord gave me an out. Like I made them think that I was going a certain way, and then I ended up turning off another way, and I slipped out, through a door, where they couldn't see me, and I got away from them, which, I was kind of laughing in the dream, because I had, the Lord gave me the wisdom to actually outsmart them. So, this wisdom, this is the point that I wanted to make, was verse 10, really, verse 4, 2 Corinthians 10:4, for the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, because, Esau, he depends upon his weaponry. It's nothing for the Lord to have Jake make all that shit look stupid. I remember there was this video with the, I think it was the elder in Vegas. And there was a video that he had up of this guy. He was being chased by some gang. And it was real live footage, whoever, caught the footage. But they was on his ass, and they was trying to kill him, because they had guns and everything. You can see in the video that the guy, he beat him around the corner, but when he dipped around that corner, he ended up taking off his shirt and his shoes, and he laid on the ground like he was a homeless person. And those dudes were standing right over him, looking around, like, where the fuck did he go that fast? Where did he go that fast? How could he have, he had, they checking everywhere. They don't know that this the guy, he right there, literally, they're standing over him. He's the guy literally on the ground with his shirt off and his shoes off, pretending to be a homeless man. And that was wisdom. So it's not going to always come in physically, you know what I'm saying? But that was wisdom that he had quick-witted thinking to actually, which we know that's the Lord, man. He had quick-witted thinking where he could actually do that quick, because it was within seconds. He didn't have that long. He just had the ups on him. He had a few seconds of run on him, but once he cut that corner, it looked like it was in front of a store. He took off his shoes real quick and his shirt. You know how homeless people, you wouldn't have never even knew. You would have thought, okay, yeah, this nigga either drunk, he's on some drugs or whatever the case may be. But shit, that shit was smart as hell. But that's pretty much about what happened in my dream, after I got done whooping on these guys. But, just a couple of precepts came to mind. I had this one with King David. Let me see, Salakia. I'm going to my history here real quick. 1 Samuel, yup. Now, this is a situation with King David in 1 Samuel when he was on the run from Saul. He feigned himself mad. He made it seem like he was, I guess in today's word, and Khan is 144 too. YAHAWAH. That alert went right off on that. I'm going to start at verse 10. 1 Samuel 21:10. And David arose and fled that day for fear of Saul, and went to Achish, the king of Gath. And the servants of Achish said unto him, Is not this David the king of the land? Did they not sing one to another of him in dances, saying, Saul hath slain his thousands, and David his 10,000s? Hey, that song was popular back then. That was like that would have been like your one of your top hip hop hits or so back then. You know what I'm saying? Because everybody knew that song of them those women, and pretty much that's why Saul was jealous of David. Man, he was like, well, damn, they singing about this nigga killing tens of thousands, but me only killing 1,000. Okay, well, nigga, you only killed 1,000. This nigga, he's out there really at war. You're the king. You're not even out there in the field like that. But you go, but you done had some battles. But he's really a soldier that's really out there. So what's the problem? He didn't like the fact that those women were singing about David like that. But anyway, another lesson. And check out what David done. I thought this was brilliant, man. 1 Samuel 21:13. And he changed. No, verse 12. I missed that. Let me get verse 11 again. And the servants of Achish said unto him, Is not this David the king of the land? Did they not sing one to another of him in dances, saying, Saul hath slain his thousands, and David his 10,000s? And David laid up these words in his heart, and was so afraid of Achish, the king of Gath. So David like, these niggas know who the fuck I am. You know what I'm saying? But he knows that, okay, he's outnumbered. So what does he do? No, can David fight? Hell yeah. David, it's the battles of David and his men. Those the 3 men that he had with him, you know what I'm saying, that went and broke through the Philistines, I think it was, that got that cup of water for him, that he ended up pouring out as a offering to the Lord. Those dudes in itself, man, they was running through, you know what I'm saying? 1,000 men, one by themselves. Now, could they have done that? Yeah, maybe possibly could have, you know what I'm saying? But, just using wisdom, who knows what all the situation was. They could have been in a gated area. Who knows? We don't know the whole thing of it, but we do know that, okay, David is, it shook David for a minute, like, okay, well, I got to make a move. Let me do this real quick. So check out what David done, though. And David laid up these things in his heart. Salakia, 1 Samuel 21:12. And David laid up these words in his heart, and was so afraid of Achish, the king of Gath. And he changed his behavior before them. Check it out. And feigned himself mad in their hands, and scrabbled on the doors of the gate, and let his spittle fall down upon his beard. So David, he made it seem like he was a damn retard. Then said Achish unto his servants, Lo, ye see the man is mad, wherefore then have ye brought him to me? So now this king, he don't believe that this is David, because he know that the king, he understands that, he know full well that David wouldn't even be that way. Of course, he would be this mighty, he's heard stories of this mighty man. He know that a mighty man is not, scrabbling upon the door and letting spittle drool down and shit, acting like he's fucking crazy. That was something that David done, though, and wisdom to get them off his ass, man. Says, have I, because, of course, it wasn't like TV was around and pictures was around, and posters and, 3x5s of a person, So, they had an idea of who he was. They just didn't, it wasn't like this king had, I done seen this guy on TV. That's definitely him, or somebody that looks just like his ass. You know what I'm saying? No, But anyway, he said, have I need of a madman, that ye have brought this fellow to play the madman in my presence? Shall this fellow come into my house? He like, man, you know how the kings was back. They had a certain, all they wanted was beauty around them. All they wanted was, you know what I'm saying? They didn't have no no degenerates around them, man. They, they they weren't playing that shit, man, in the palace, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, man, get this nigga out of here, man. But that was something that David done. Even with all that might that he had, he used wisdom, you know? So sometimes you got to, you'll hear the apostles, they may say, being Superman, when at certain points with certain points you got to be Clark Kent. Even when you go to your job, you know what I'm saying? You got to play Clark Kent at the job. You got to put on the glasses, man. You know what I'm saying? And then once you get away from the job, you rip open that button up, and your Superman symbol is showing, and you you hit the phone booth and you fly away, type of deal. You know what I'm saying? But I just thought about that. You know what I'm saying? Because coming in the time that we're coming into right now, we're gonna have to use wisdom, man. You may have to because, brothers be working out, brothers be doing their thing, you know what I'm saying? A lot of brothers have been getting in shape and stuff like that over the past couple of years, with, the apostles going in on good health, better health, eating better, or as best we can, doing, some training of some sort, But there may come a point where, say, for instance, you get caught up with, say, some fucking ICE agents or some of these agents that's gonna, because we know they coming. But you may have to act like you got a limp. You acting like, oh yeah, man, or you acting like, you know what I'm saying, you got an ailment, even though you stronger than a motherfucking mule. You may have to pull that off on Esau. Because, hey, because Jacob is known for supplanting Esau. Esau just doofy as hell like that. And plus he relies on his might. He relies on that sword. So he's thinking anyway, and he don't give a fuck about what kind of strength you got anyway, because he'll gun your ass down. He'll turn your ass into a hamburger, boy. You know what I'm saying? He dump around and, dump a clip into your ass. He'll turn your big ass muscles into a goddamn salami sandwich type of deal. This how Esau thinks, so he ain't worried about that anyway. But guess what? The Lord may have you act just like that just for a moment to throw this nigga off, and then next thing you know, you strong handling this nigga, man. You just never know. We don't know what the case may be. I'm just using that as an example. Just never know, right? But it's another one that came to mind. I think it's Ecclesiastes 12 and Ecclesiastes, I think chapter 9, where it talks about the weapons. Let me see here. Oh yeah, I'm gonna start from verse 13. I think that might be my cousin right there. Cuzzo, what up with you, cuz? You good? Yeah, everything smooth? How long you been down here? Oh, okay, what you was doing, the grass? Yeah. I feel you. Yeah, it's getting to it now. Yeah, you gonna have to be coming to do the snow next. Yeah, we getting to that point. This might be your last cut right here. Yeah, okay, back. Okay, in a minute, cuz. One of my cousins, man, shit, yeah. The cuzzo got the lawn care business, big ass business too. He always was like that though. He be doing his thing. Comes into town here and there. My uncle live up the way. But anyway, let me get on this. Ecclesiastes 9 and 13. This wisdom have I seen also under the sun, and it seemed great unto me. Now this is King Solomon, one of the wisest men on the planet, which, if you have ears to hear, that would be YAHAWAH, which the world ignorantly calls Jesus in the reincarnation. Matter of fact, that's funny because the beloved apostle Tahar, he was going into Moses was the king that's being spoken of in Deuteronomy chapter 28. I forgot what verse it is. Maybe it's 30 something. But I was just watching the beloved apostle Gabar. He was landbacking off of the apostle Tahar's video, going into reincarnation, because reincarnation is in the scriptures. So King Solomon would have also been our Lord and Savior YAHAWAH in his reincarnation. But that's another lesson, man. You know what I'm saying? You have to really have spiritual eyes and spiritual ears for that particular conversation, so to speak, because these Christians, they don't get it because it's not given to them. But let's start back from the top. Let me start back from verse 13. Ecclesiastes 9 and 13. This wisdom have I seen also under the sun, and it seemed great unto me. There was a little city, and few men within it, And there came a great king against it, and besieged it, and built great bulwarks against it. Now there was found in it a poor wise man, and he by his wisdom delivered the city. Yet no man remembered that same poor man. So through his wisdom, he delivered the city. But of course, people, that's even to this day. Scriptures even talk about how if a rich man speak, everybody shut the fuck up and listen to him, no matter if he's stupid or not, pretty much overall, because a lot of these people, but that's Jake. Jake listened to anybody that's got money. They just figure if this nigga is speaking, look at him. Look at, he's got his car, look at his watch, look at his gear, look at his shoes. They look at him like, oh yeah, he gotta be telling the truth. He must have wisdom. And they'll listen to that nigga and he'll run their asses straight into the ground. But a poor wise man, they're not listening to him. But this is the point, verse 16. Then said I, wisdom is better than strength. Nevertheless, the poor man's wisdom is despised and his words are not heard. Well, guess what? Our words are despised right now. But eventually, these people are going to come looking for the men of the Lord, according to like Amos 8 and 11, where it talks about the famine of the word. They're going to come looking for the men of the Lord in those garments. Like, where are those men at? I know they normally on this corner, but it's going to come a point where the Lord, the scriptures talks about how he's going to make our tongue cleave to the roof of our mouth, roughly paraphrasing. And the word is not going to be out there. It's just going to be too late, because there's a door that the Lord is going to close to this truth. Once this gospel goes out, as long as he wants to go, once he shut it off, it's going to be shut off. And no one's going to be able to turn it back on. No one's going to be able to open that door once he closes that door. But anyway, the point that I wanted to make was wisdom is still better than strength. Because see, Esau, he has wisdom, but it's on the left-hand side. His wisdom or his strength, he relies on the sword. He relies on his weaponry. Physical weaponry. We're relying on the Lord's wisdom, man, because the Lord used wisdom to make everything that everybody has anyway. When you go off into it, you get to reading about wisdom. There's a few books on it, like Wisdom of Solomon, Sirach. There's multiple books that goes off into her, Proverbs. But once you get to reading about wisdom, man, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing, man. Because it's through wisdom that the Lord created everything. And that wisdom actually is YAHAWAH Mashiach, the word, man. Have ears to hear on that. But I mean, hey, this man, see, he's going to come with his carnal and physical weapons, but the Lord is going to give us wisdom. And matter of fact, through the Lord's wisdom, it's his wisdom that's going to change our bodies in a twinkling of an eye. Think about that. Here you go. You're going to be a superhuman. And this nigga's carnal weapons, his fucking missiles, his nuclear might, all that shit ain't going to have nothing on what the Lord is about to change our bodies into. So that wisdom in itself. So this guy, he's outwitted on every side. Even the wisdom of the Lord has actually fooled him into thinking that he has enough wisdom to actually beat the Lord, which is crazy. So I just wanted to just touch on this for a hot sec. I had that dream. But verse 17, Ecclesiastes 9 and 17, it says, the words of wise men are heard in quiet more than the cry of him that ruleth among fools. Wisdom is better than weapons of war, but one sinner destroyeth much good. So this wisdom is better than weapons of war. Who's dealing with the weapons of war? Who's known for his military might? Esau, Edom, the so-called white man. Mainly these Edomites in America. But all these Edomites all over the world, they have military might. Germany, Russia, Poland, all those NATO nations, they have some military might. Some are stronger than others. You know what I'm saying? But America is really the stronghold as far as like their real super duper military might. That's the reason why they run it throughout the earth, fucking with everybody, even their allies. But anyway, again, I just wanted to touch on this. I had that dream, and just in that dream, I remembered that I used strength in one situation, but I used wisdom, and to kind of get away, so to speak, so there's a balance. And we know that the Lord, he deals in balance, you know what I'm saying? Because a false balance is an abomination to Yahawah Bashem Yahushai, according to Proverbs 11 and 1. So there's a balance. Sometimes you use strength. Sometimes you might have to whoop somebody's ass, That's like that case with that guy that was in Canada a few weeks back, maybe 3 weeks or so ago now. And you know, the Edomite pulled a gun on him at camp. You know, now he used wisdom all the way through. You ask me, but you know, he was using wisdom. You know, as far as like the words of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai to calm the man, so to speak. You know, and just because he wasn't like he was irate and you know, intimidating this man or irritating this man to that extent. You know, this guy was just irritated off the jump. He just had a damn demon on him. But once that didn't work, now he's on a scale of the balance where he had to whip that guy ass, you know? So once he, you know, disarmed this man, you know what I'm saying, he went back to his wisdom, you know what I'm saying? And because he could have really, now had that been a real gun, I'm not sure if it was a real gun or not, because, you know, I've heard, you know, little hookups where it could have been a BB gun or the shit wasn't real at all, whatever the case may be. But let's just say if it was a real gun, you know, he never did pull the trigger or anything, even if it was fake or not. He didn't do anything like that. He just took the shit from the guy. Now, he could have went full-fledged hardcore, or he could have just really just beat his face in with the handle, or just beat his face in with the pistol. Because, you know, pistol shit, you slap somebody with a goddamn pistol. That's like a damn brick hitting your ass, man. He could have really messed him up, but he came back to his wisdom. You know, he used wisdom like, you know, all right, well, I'm not gonna, which, you know, I'm like the apostle. I would have laid his ass out. And matter of fact, in my dream, I was, I think I was kind of more, I think remembering what the apostle was talking about, because I was whipping, because it was two guys. I'm like, well, shit, I ain't about to let these niggas gang up on me. I'm trying to knock these niggas the fuck out immediately. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, ain't no getting up. You know, you lay your ass there until I'm finished with this other one and shit. I'm gonna knock his ass out too. Well, like I said, a gang ended up, you know, getting in behind me and trying to get at me. But the way that the Lord had me smooth through some shit and dip back and cut back on the asses and cut through some other shit, it was like they was going the other way that they thought I was going. And I'm looking, but, you know, I kind of laughed at it, you know what I'm saying? Like, but, you know, praising Yahawah Bashim Yahushai in that dream. But, you know, hey, with that, you know, just a little pre-camp, hopefully this was edifying and gives the brothers some hope, you know what I'm saying? Because, you know, this exhortation, it comes in handy, giving brothers hope, man, that, you know, hey, we move by the spirit, man, to the best of our ability. But even, you know, in the spirit gonna give you what you need, man, you know, to charge you up, man. If you got to get down and you got to really protect yourself, and you're not the irritator, or you're not the one that's causing the bullshit, then, you know, you have the, you know, the advantage of the Lord being on your side. You know, once you done exhausted all of what the Lord said to do, you know what I'm saying? You've exhausted the scriptures, you know what I'm saying? Well, Lord, well, what can I do now? This guy trying to get physical. Well, you're gonna have to get physical with his ass. So from there, that's why, you know, it's nothing to say a quick prayer, or at least call on the names of YAHAWAH, YAHWH. And that's what I done in that dream, you know? It's nothing, it's quick. Yahawah Bashim Yahushai. That's it. You ain't even got to say nothing. You ain't even got to, you know, you may not have a time enough to phrase a whole fucking sentence of prayer. You know what I'm saying? Just Yahawah Bashim Yahushai is enough, man. Because he knows the situation. He's the one that's, you know, he sees the situation off the jump anyway. He knows you need help. His eyes are on the righteous to begin with. So he's right there anyway. He already has what you need around you, man. So, yeah, I'm going to end out there, man. I pray that the lesson was edifying. A little pre-camp, you know. With that, I pray that the lesson was edifying. Kwame Yasha'Allah and the Bible Ball. Continue on praying for the downfall of Esau's kingdom, man. With that, Shalom.